In this video with Bruno, I'm able to show what to do if your dog has kind of a little panicky moment. Now, Bruno, if he thinks he sees someone he knows, or actually sees someone he knows, he will full on take off, panic mode, gotta get to them full speed. Now, he's in a heel, he's trained, so you won't see as big of an escalation, and this is our third day working on this, so it is a little milder. I was just now able to get it on camera for you guys. So he kind of gets a whiff of Chris, realizes who it is. When I don't let him, I have him keep moving, I can sense him panic and I freeze, and the pressure goes straight up in the air. And notice I am lifting it up a bit. I get in front of him. When I feel his body relax a little bit, my leash relaxes. You can do this on martingale, slip leash, prong collar, dominant dog collar, any of those things, any sort of a neck support. You can feel the dog through the leash, and that's kind of what gives you, the when to increase pressure or decrease pressure without lifting the dog off the ground. Now, I would never just move on from a moment like that. So I'm going to do some turns. I'm actually going to give him a little bit more slack in the leash, make him feel like he has room to make a mistake. If I just start holding him back, he'll get more whiny, more pushy, more amped. So I've just got a good hold of the leash using body language, e-collar, leash last. Leash creates, when you're pulling back, it creates something for them to push against. So it can make anxiety worse. And again, this is a dog that's already trained, which certainly helps. So I'm doing turns with him on the outside, as well as me turning into him with the dog on the inside. These turns right there, they tend to really help with anxiety whenever you're moving in towards your dog. But never just move on from a moment like that. Let the moment pass. Your dog may flip out a little, panic when another dog or a skateboard or a motorcycle goes by. Not reactive, panic. It's a bit different. And so you ride that moment out, but then you work them, calm them down before you move on. Here is another view of it, just a little slower. So that was just pressure. And then the second time I did pressure, I could tell he was pushing against it. So that's when I immediately switched up in the air, settle down, get in front of him, settle down. Let's just breathe here for a second and then move on. And if you really look closely, like right there, I increase pressure and then I've decreased it, increase it, decrease it. Then I get right in front of him. All of this is predicated on the opposition, on the intensity of him pushing through the pressure. That's what dictates whether I am more firm up or more relaxed. Okay. And so I'm about to relax, but I feel him fight. That's a pop right there. I feel him fight against the pressure. So I increase pressure, then I decrease it, but I'm never completely off of it until I think he's fully settled. Now, when we walked away and he did his look back, I chose to do a quick, sharp pop and release. You can do that with anything to get his attention. Now, when did I use e-collar? I used e-collar throughout, especially on the first signs of escalation, to try to help cap it before he's pulling my arm out of socket, which he absolutely has done and would do. But the thing about e-collar with Bruno is that e-collar helps kind of suppress the need to just take off, which is very useful, but it doesn't de-escalate him. He actually gets more whiny. So the way I use it only in these excited and panicky situations with him is I'm always hanging 30 or below, which for him is low. Not for every dog. For some dogs, it would probably be under 10. But every dog is different, and how they respond to it is different. And for him, when he's excited or when he's panicky, he does better if I just do a quick tap just to kind of cap it a little bit, and then it's leash the rest of the time. My e-collar is there to support me in a really specific way, but it's really the leash and the body language movement that helps his brain calm down and start to pay attention to me and have a better response to it. For me, it's just another example of how important it is to say no to your dog, but it's not a quick fix. It doesn't magically fix all your problems. Your dog is still emotional and has things that they need to work through and build up a tolerance for. And so while it's both things are needed, it's not just just correct your dog, just pop the leash, just use this, just say no, in a way that they understand. It's not that simple. He needs help with his anxiety and his emotions, as many, many dogs do, to actually be worked down mentally to a calmer state, to where he can then build more of an understanding for the expectations for these types of situations. So to get to the next thing, when Bruno is excited and sometimes nervous as well, he'll look for an out. He'll jump on me. He'll jump on something next to me, anything to get around me to get to what he wants for excitement, or to get away from something. He kind of does the same thing. He's a very jumpy dog in general. And so that's what you just saw there. And there he does it again. I just give him a pop and then another smaller communication pop. Keep moving, buddy. And so you might see your dog do all sorts of things, to try to get their way as you're building trust with them. And it takes a long time. And someone might say, well, then, you shouldn't be working him so, when he's so emotional. And I'm like, he will do this randomly, just to a random person walking by. Oh my God, I think I know that person, and flip out. So it's like, we have to practice it. I have to be prepared as a handler of my own dog to know what to do when those fluke moments happen. So you need to practice them. And so you can see what works for your dog and what doesn't work. So just to slow it down for you, I was doing a turn and talking to Chris, and he goes for this out of habit. So I immediately switched to up in the air, probably did a e-collar tap, no pressure up and block until I feel his body kind of settle back a little bit. And then I'll relax my leash and continue to move on. And when it comes to fear or panic or overexcitement anxiety, you don't rush. So as soon as you kind of relax, breathe there for a second. If your dog is sit or down or stand, it doesn't matter. You're just standing there and just let your dog breathe for a second, and you make sure you take a deep breath before you move on. So here I chose to stay in the middle and actually push him back before starting to walk. Otherwise I was afraid, and he jumped again. You can see that, and I gave him a pop. Just up in the air, knock it off, don't jump up on things. And then that was to get his attention, a little pop to get his attention. I chose to do that rather than do a turn, because if I turn and he feels that sideways pressure, almost like a dog on a harness, pulling something, he's going to feel that opposition, and it'll be something to fight against. And so I felt it was better to walk into him a bit and make him keep walking forward rather than do like a turn and clean up, his positioning. So I hope that makes sense, and feel free to ask any questions on the matter. This is a tricky thing. It's just one example of what has worked nicely with one dog.